And that was way before your time. You're too young. But this was in the 50s. And, I love vanilla milkshakes. And, I always had enough coupons to get me a hot dog and a milkshake. And we rode our bikes and up to the reservoir. And, we all had bikes. And, those were just fun times growing up. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. And I'm just glad that I was able to play with such great athletes and great people. We kept each other going, in other words. That's what it was. We couldn't falter because we kept each other up.
Gene, you talk about that boy from Lynn, Kentucky. It probably wouldn't be complete unless you say something about signing Don Gollett and how many people were chasing him around, and how did you keep him hidden?
Really, Wayne Blackburn, who's another one of our local heroes right here, passed away several years ago. One of my all-time good friends, knew Mr. Ricky very, very well. And I know I had a tryout camp, one of my many of them, in Ironton, Ohio. And one of my bird dogs told me, said, hey, there's some 12-year-old kid that's pitching down here in, what's that town where the Greenup. He's pitching over in the Greenup Little League program over there. And said, I want to tell you something. He can be a starter on any high school team in this area. And I said, he can't be that good, is he? They said, listen, I just happened to go by there the other day. They were a mismatch. And I said, well, do you ever see that guy? He said, no, but I see Dad every now in Buford, Of course, I knew Buford. And I knew Don was playing up there in that Little League. I knew all about him, but I didn't know he was that good. So I said, you tell Buford to bring him over to my tryout camp in Ironton. I said, now, the tryout camp's going to start at 9 o'clock. He don't have to get there till noon because I don't want to get him into there because we're going to have kids from Ohio State and Mount Marshall and OU and Charleston and everywhere in there. And I said, we're going to have a little game and maybe see how he goes. And if he wants to, we'll let him pitch an inning or so. So, by golly, when we got the camp going, we had a big crowd. Those camps would have 200-300, So we'd always cut them down, which you would. You wouldn't have probably 25 guys now that you know. So we kept enough for 2 teams, and we went down through there. And so Don showed up about noon, and we was just about ready to quit. So I told Jim Veneri, who was with me, another one of my bird dogs, and that close to Mr. Ricky because he was Mr. Ricky's man too. And of course he's dead now too. So I said, hey, we're finished up here. Pick me out 9 of the best players that you saw here today. Well, as it ended up, every one of them was college players. 22-year-old guys, Here's this kid, 14, 13, literally 12, 13 years old. He struck out every single one of them. So after he got through, I went over and put my arm around him. I said, hey, son, I want to tell you something. Will you do me a favor? I said, yeah. I said, don't you ever come back to another one of my tryouts. And so he said, you serious? I said, yeah. He said, why is that? I said, well, listen, the way it is right now, you live way down there in the sticks, down in there. And they ain't a scout in the country going to find out about you.
That's right.
They will not know about you. And you can take it to the bank. You will be a Cincinnati Red. So now, by golly, there was another scout around here that was one of the good old time guys too. Younger than Branch Rickey, but was a Branch Rickey disciple. And so he came to me one day and he said, Gene, he said, I hear there's some kid down in the hills of Kentucky that can pitch in the big league right now. And I said, well, whoever told you that must be crazy. So anyway, he kept going. Tony Lucadell.
Oh yeah, I remember Tony.
If it had been anybody else, old Tony kept searching. So then I seen him one day and he said, hey, did you ever find out who that kid was? And I said, nah, ain't nobody pitching the big leagues down there. He said, they tell me the kid's name is Government. I said, oh, God. I said, well, I'll have to go watch him pitch, you know. So now I figured I'd send one of my bird dogs over there, you know, because bird dog watching wasn't that much. So they played Boyd Ashland, Boyd County. And the coach, I put the high school coach on as one of my bird dogs. Oh. So he'd be sure to let me know whoever was talking to him. And then he was still eligible for the Legion. So I put the Legion coach on as one of my bird dogs too. So he told my guy, he said, he's going to pitch against Boyd County, but he's not going to pitch 5 innings. He said, that's fine. So my guy went up there, and there was one other scout there. Tony Lucadell.
Yeah, I tell you.
He pitched 5 innings, struck out every single batter that walked to the plate. Every single one of them. So then this went on, you know, and I could think, well, I mean, I knew he could really throw. And I got to think, maybe I better go. So they played over at Moorhead in a tournament over there. I went over there, and he pitched 4 innings over there, and they never even touched one. He struck them all out. So that now, I got to think, well, everybody in the country knows about this guy. So some of the scouts would come to me and said, hey, Gene, everybody knows about him now. He said, you and Black ain't the only two that knows about him. He said, and they're all going to come in and see him pitch. Well, I said, no, you ain't going to come in and see him pitch because the season's over with. So they said, hey, I know, he said, that coach is your man. How about getting your man to schedule a game and let Gullet pitch? And I said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what. Now, they're going to be in the tournament, but it's going to be a little later on. And Portsmouth Clay, Kenny Long, is going to be in the state tournament over here. And Kenny's a good friend of mine. He's a good friend of Bobby Coons. So they scheduled a game. So now, Washington is the first drive. They flew an airplane full of them down here. There's 44 scouts showed up at that game. And we had 7. I had everybody in Cincinnati with them. Even old Ray Shore, there was a Major League Advance scout there. Mm-hmm. And so we come over there, and we all come in, and they said, "Where's he at?" And I said, "It's him down there. He's sitting there with a towel wrapped around his neck." Of course, he never saw that many people before. He had a towel around his neck, just like his, on the bench, all base South. And Joe Bowen was the scout director. You know Joe. Mm-hmm. Joe said, "Oh man," he said, "I don't like it." He said, "What do you think?" I said, "I'll tell you what I think. I think that this team right here might as well sack them up. They ain't got no chance." I said, "They'll be lucky to foul one." He said, "You really mean that?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You mean his makeup's that good?" I said, "Hey, I went to see him play football because just to see about an athlete." So you've read these in books. This was in a radio book. He struck out the first 20, and they fouled 3 pitches. And the 21st guy, if you ever seen that, was Johnny Tipton. Johnny Tipton walked up there. Well, they'd already sacked the bats up. And he got a bat out of there and walked up to the plate. And he walked right up that plate and squared around just like his. And he missed the first 2. And the third one, he bunted it back to Gully, and Gully threw him out. And that was it. So now, we're coming over, we come over here to somewhere, I don't remember where it was now, and I said, Joe, what do you think? Joe said, let me tell you something. We have gotten absolutely no chance to get that kid. No chance to get that kid. And he said, Washington had them all in here, you know, and they're first. So now, the draft is on Monday. Ted Williams was the manager of Washington. And they played out in California somewhere on a Sunday. And I don't remember that big guy's name. But they had another kid that they were going to take Gullett. Gullett was the man. They were going to they had this other kid to work out because they knew he was going to be a big guy. Well, after he worked out, he was an outfielder. He had a lot of home runs, played in the big leagues a long time. Ted Williams told the owners, this is the greatest hitter I have ever seen. So now, they just took Gullett's name off and put that kid's name #1.
That's like Jeff Burrow.
Jeff Burrow.
Jeff Burrow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Jeff Burrow.
that's right.
It was Jeff Burrow. They put old Burrows on.
Huh.
So now, everybody's already, the draft's the very next morning. Now everybody's got their thing going down there. And we did too. We were about 12th or 13th. We're sitting there with, man, this can't work. Ain't no way this is going to work. Another one went past him. Another one went past him. Come right down, we took him. We took Gully. Oh, yeah.
How long was he in the minors?
60 days. Went straight to the big league, 1970.
So you guys drafted before Philly had a chance?
Yeah.
Because you know Philly
Yeah, Tony took him.
Tony would take
Yeah.
it.
I got one last question. It's 1976. Al Oliver's in the All-Stars. He's leading the league in hitting. We put him in a time capsule and fast forwarding to today. What does your agent ask for your new contract in today's market?
In today's market, I would have to say, off the top of my head, I would be in the top 10 somewhere. In the top 10. I can't put a figure on it because it seems like they keep going up every year.
You can't keep track.
But I'd be in the top 10 somewhere. Yeah.
How do you feel about how the market has changed when you come in baseball and the requirements that rookies put on the league? And, you know, I'm going to be in the pros in 1 year, I'm going to do this. Or how do you feel about that?
I have no problem, with the players' salaries because I understand, with the TV revenues, that's what started it all, really. I'm one of those players that, if the players can make the money, all well and good. Now, probably if you went a decade back, a lot of those guys resent it. These players making a lot of money. But I have no problem with it. It's their time. Just like back then, it was my time. But I have no problem. The only problem that I do have, these players need to start hustling. I mean, walking in and off the field, you got to play ball. Give the fans their money's worth. These fans are paying big bucks to come to these ball games. And the only thing they want to see is hustle. If you hustle, they're not going to boo you. You don't have to get a hit every time at the plate. And that's the only thing that I've seen that's been really lacking is all-out hustle.
Our thing about salaries and contracts, that I'd run into a lot of times is that, if you took, well, there's such a great difference between, well, you can remember when the minimum salary, wasn't it, was $750.
Right, and then it went up to my rookie year in '69 to 10,000.
Yeah, but now, if you take that 10,000 back in what year was that?
69.
59,
60.
69.
Yes.
All right, now, if you take that same thing 40-some years later, what would that go into?
Yeah.
And the thing that I see difference today, and I know I've been in on a few of those big contracts, is that term of contracts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, shoot, man, if you could get 2 years,
Hey.
you'd have to leave the league and everything, get 2 years, and then they might give you $2,000 or $3,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But now, well, just like some of our players, I mean, they're getting them big long-term contracts, and hey, and I know I used to do this on some players, and you get in the air, say like Michigan's a little bit like Ohio. Is you had a kid here that you really liked him, could really play, and in your own mind, when you sign a player, you sign him because you think he's got some kind of chance. You don't sign a player just to give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can sign anybody. You can go out here on the street corner and sign a guy. But just to give him a chance. And you go in that house and you say, well, here, this is what we would give you. And I remember years when I started scouting, I'd say, we'll give you now this would have been back like in maybe the 70s. Say, here, we'll give you $25,000 just to sign your name. That ain't much money. That ain't. A lot of times I'd ask, and I said, you can go in the kitchen or where you want to go. You and your wife go over there, and you add up how much you've made in your lifetime, and see how that compares with this kid. And I've had a lot of times, of course you had to go with it. Every kid has got a full ride. I don't care if it's going to Southern Cal. You go in there and say, now, hey son, what kind of scholarship you got here? He got a full ride.
Full ride.
Yeah, he got a full ride even though there's some baseball skills. I don't have 6 full rides to go for the whole team.
Right.
And so an accountant told me one time, he said, hey, I'll tell you a good way to approach that. He said, come up with three choices. Number one, you say, kid's got a full ride to go to Ohio State. Right, now Ohio State's only got 9 full rides. And they got to split them among 30 players. So you got, Mike Smith had what, 4th?
I would say.
Yeah, Mike Smith had a 4th at OU. Mm-hmm. So he said, then you go out here and you say, the senior's going to give him $50,000. Okay, now you go to the scholarship for the full ride, say at Ohio State. Back then, the scholarship might be worth $200,000. And then you come back and say, we'll give you $20,000 and pay your way through college. Now you tell me which one of the 3 you want. Which one do you think you'll take every time? The cash.
Right.
You'll take the cash. Yeah. And it all changed, and this big money, I know it took me forever to get
it together.
To get it together. And I signed some big players, like Barry Larkin was about the 5th kid in the nation taken, and a bunch of others. O'Neal was a high guy. Sabo was there's 24 teams in, he was the 25th player taken that year, you know. And you know, the money that you gave him then compared with what Joey Votto, for example.
Right, exactly.
I mean, his is a little bit better, but if you took the scale on up, and you know, I can remember my dad worked at the railroad for $1 a day too.
Right.
Yeah, I can remember that. Not just a little kid. But, and there's not any stopping that money.
No, it's not. Yeah.
The rich gets richer, and the average money people finish down at the bottom.
Right. That's
That's
right.
about the way it is.
Yeah.
And I remember Mr. Housam in 1976. We had a star at every position, everyone. Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Tony Perez, Joe Morgan, Concepcion, Foster, Griffey, everybody. And that's when this free agency started. And Mr. Housam, we had a meeting after we'd won the World Series. And I know we pitched in we played the Yankees, we beat the Yankees. And Gullett was one of our starters. And he pitched in New York. And of course, at that time, he was top people in baseball. When they introduced every one of our players, boo, you know, when they introduced Don Gullett, standing ovation from the home crowd and free agency coming up, way they happened. That's where he went.
Yankees.
Yeah. And that's just the way it is.
It is.
Free agency is, and Mr. Housam, then after we won the series, and after we won the series, we had a meeting. Mr. Housam said that never again will you probably see a team assembled with a bench and a Perez and a Morgan and a Randall. And the reason you won't is because of free agency. And the only way that small market teams are going to compete is you have to sign players and develop them faster than you lose your stars. And if you can do that, then you're going to compete. And you know, just like Oakland.
Right.
I mean, you know, they won some series.
That's right.
They're not money people.
Yeah.
In 1990, we did the same thing. Loma and Miss Shot didn't have that much money. But we had players.
Yeah.
We had Sabo, Clark, O'Neill, all of them developed right by people. But the game's changed.
The game has changed. You know, one thing about it, the game basically is the same, but it's kind of, the players are not the same, if you know what I mean. There's still a few great players out there, but there are not as many great players as it once was. And these players today should be very grateful for the salaries that they're making. I truly believe also that they should be more fan friendly, because you know, back then, you know, I couldn't see guys in the 50s, 60s, 70s turning people down for autographs. I mean, it came with the territory. That's like if Gene and I are in the supermarket and someone walks up to Gene and asks for his autograph. There's no way he's gonna say no.
Sign it.
You sign it. It's part of the game. You know, I always said it's when they stop asking is when I'm gonna start worrying. So, you know, that's my philosophy. It's part of the game.
Hey, you know what was funny? I was in St. Louis one night, and man, we had a storm like we had here the last few days. and Jack Buck was there, and Red Shandy's, of course, he's there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just a bunch of old baseball guys. Tony Lucadella was there, and whole flock, you know, and we're sitting there, and they're going to wait and wait because sellout crowd. So we got talking about these great players and great teams and so forth, you know. And I don't remember who it was. Might have been Jack Buck, maybe, I'm not sure. He said, you know what? There's probably not 50% of the players playing today that could have played when there was 16 teams, like when I played. I said, nah, yeah, you're crazy, man. I mean, these guys know better. And they said, okay, just take the Cincinnati Reds.
Mm-hmm.
And we took the Cincinnati Reds, and we was contending for the championship. We had one player that would have probably made the team, Barry Larkin.
Okay.
Now, do you want Larkin or Concepcion? That's the one. We had one player.
That was the dilemma.
And then we
Yeah.
took the Cardinals, and we took some other teams,
Mhm.
and it came out about 35%.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Come out about 35%.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, when there were 16 teams, you had to be a baseball player,
For real.
real big time
Mm-hmm.
to play. And
There was always someone waiting that was right behind you.
to take your place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
See, and you look at it just like the Reds, for example. I mean, you know, we've had all these guys playing around. Now we got Stubbs, we got Bruce, we got Vato, we got Heisey. We got a baseball team there.
You're darn right.
And they're kids.
You know,
It's better than the guys 3 or 4 years ago.
that's right. You know, the Reds have done an outstanding job. You know, guys come up through the system, and then they bring in a guy like Scott Rowland to give some experience. I mean, these guys are young, and these guys can play. If Stubbs starts to hit, if they can get him to hit a little more, it's no telling what kind of team the Reds have. I mean, I enjoy watching the Reds. They're aggressive. They got good pitching. All the way young. You know, they're just a fun team to watch. I wish the Pirates would take a page from the Reds, and they would do a lot better. But it starts at the very top, as we all know, on down.
Do you have anything to share about your buddy Dusty Baker, the manager?
Great guy.
You guys go way back, don't you?
I predicted, back to 1972. I predicted last year at the beginning of the season that the Reds would win the division. And people thought I was crazy. But what I was going on, I watched them the year before, these young players coming up. And I got a pretty good idea on talent. I said, if these guys stay healthy with that year's experience that they have just had, if they hit a hot streak, or if they happen to get out front, Dusty will keep them there. And lo and behold, that's what happened.
That's a good man.
Yeah. If you can't play for Dusty, then you need to be home. He's a player's manager, and he's just great to play for. And I'm glad for him, and I'm glad for the Reds. You know, it's just good to watch good baseball and guys who are hustling.
Hey, you know one thing I found out in scouting a long time ago? When you had a player that you wanted to sign, well, you thought that he had a bill here, you wouldn't want to sign him. But when it came down to two things, money or a chance to play, watch that guy. That money is the number one thing.
Right.
Because if you do, you probably signed a guy that ain't going to play.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to make it. I remember a player, and I know they always tell me, who's the best player you ever signed? I say every one of them. Because they all know we're Gully, Gully like my son. But anyway, I signed a guy, and I tell people all the time, I said, you know, I think I just signed a big leaguer. I told Joe Bowen. He said, why is that? And I said, I'll tell you why. I said, we took this guy in the 9th round. Well, the 9th round is, back then, the 9th round would probably be worth $9,000, something like that, which was average for the round selected. So his home is in Chicago, but he played over in Miami University. So I called Charlie and I said, Charlie, I said, we just drafted you in the baseball draft. And I said, I'm coming up tomorrow on Saturday. And I said, I got to see a kid in Tennessee Saturday night, and I want to see you Saturday morning sometime so that I can get down to Tennessee. And I says, you know, we need to get this thing worked out so you can play. He said, well, I can tell you right now what I want, which never, you know. He said, you don't have to give me nothing. He said, all you have to give me is contract. I said, nah, we ain't gonna do that. I said, we ain't gonna do that. So I said, I'll come up there. You meet me at the O'Hare Airport. We'll do it right there at the airport. So I went up there and I met him at the airport. He walked in there, we sat down. He said, hey, Gene, I'll tell you what. All I want is a chance to play. He said, I think I can pitch. And he said, all I want is a chance to play. And I said, well, no, we wouldn't do that. I said, the average for that round is probably 9,000. He said, anyway, he said, no, he said, I said, now let's get serious about this. I says, we're going to give you $1,000 then. We'll give you $1,000 and we'll send you out to the rookie league like everybody else. He said, well, he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, you don't even have to give me $1,000. He said, all I want to put in that contract is that you will advance me up the line as quick as my ability lets me go. Well, old Charlie had, you know Joe Bowen. Mm-hmm. Oh, he was that clean delivery guy. You know, he was the big man. Charlie was a short arm, herky-jerky and everything. Mm-hmm. So I thought, oh man, if I put that on that report, ain't no way. No. So I put on that. Delivery, smooth.
Right.
Period. That's all I put. So I said, well, Charlie, I said, they'll do that. He said, no, I want that put in my contract. I said, the commissioner will not let you put a clause like that in that contract. So, but I said, I'll call Joe Bowen. We get Joe on the phone. Whatever Joe tells you, we'll do it. So we got Joe on the phone. Joe said, yeah, Charlie said, you know that as quick as your ability lets you, we're going to move you up the ladder, you know. So, and I could hear him talking, and I said, I told you, and he said, yeah. He said, okay. So he signed a contract, and I gave him $1,000. So now, it's smooth delivery. Right. So now we sent him out to Sioux City, Iowa, or somewhere like that. So that's where we had all of our players, first-year players. So Joe Bowen goes out there. So first day he's out there, my wife said, hey, Gene, Joe Bowen wants you on the telephone. So I said, what's he want? I'm at home. He said, Gene, he said, this Charlie Lee Branch you signed. He said, he's got the worst delivery I have ever seen hanging on a body, man. And I said, what? He said, yeah. And I said, well, you sure you saw the, me and Joe's good friend. I said, you sure you saw the same guy I saw?
Right.
I said, when I saw him, his delivery was smooth. It said delivery, and I put smooth. You know. He said, I don't know whether he's going to stay around here or not. I said, oh, Charlie, oh, man. There goes my Charlie.
Yeah.
You know. So now about 5 or 6 days later, nearly a week later, Rez said, oh, Gene said, here goes Charlie. He said, Joe wants you on the phone again. And I got on the phone. He said, hey, you know how he talks soft. He said, tell me about this Lee Branch. Said, he can pitch a little bit. And I said, well, I told you, but I said, the thing blows my mind, Joe, is you're telling me about that bad delivery he had. So he said, well, said, it's not very good, you know. So anyway, it wasn't long till we moved Charlie from out there to, we had Tampa then. We moved him down to Tampa. Well, he was down to Tampa for a good while, won a bunch of games. Didn't lose a game down there or out there. Then they moved him to AAA. He went to Indianapolis. I think his first year, part year, he might have won 15 or 16 games.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So now, in September, Sparky Anderson's the manager. I go down to Cincinnati to see the Reds play, and I'm on the elevator, and we had to stop. Who steps on? Old Charlie Lee Branch.
I'll be.
And I said, hey, Charlie. He was surprised to see me now. I said, what'd you do? What'd you come down and see a game? He said, no, they just called me up to the big leagues.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, and I laugh about that all the time.
He's a good pitcher.
Oh, he could pitch.
He's a good pitcher.
And he's got a son, a left-hander, just like he is.
Oh, okay.
And he lives in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And he's helping with the draft this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Holy crap. He was MVP in the World Series one year. Good guy. But there again, he didn't want no money. I've often asked him, Charlie, why did you do that? I said, you know, you probably could have got 10,000. I got a lot more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Larkin was an easy sign too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to make sure that you get to talk about?
We can talk all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that, you know, we've pretty much covered from a historical standpoint of Soudan County. You know, I know when, you know, we both are retired from the game, but, you know, we still are involved in the community and the area, and I think that's important, you know, giving something back. And, you know, as I said here today, you know, I was thinking, you know, when our two names are mentioned in Soudan County, you know, I was trying to figure out a definition on how either one of us would be defined. And the way I look at it is that I was part of history in baseball, and Gene Bennett made history. And that's the way I like to sum it up.
Well, we're going to keep these recordings here at the library in our local history department forever. Is there anything that you'd like to have on record, advice for, you know, future generations, your own family or upcoming aspiring ball players, anything that you want to make sure people should know? You think that would be important?
When I travel and do my public speaking, I tell young people that education is key in today's society. A lot of kids go to school with just sports on the mind only. All well and good. But the fact of the matter is, everyone is not going to make it to the major leagues, or to the NBA, or to the NFL. But one thing about sports, it is a great vehicle if you're able to make it. It's a great vehicle even at a little league level, pony league level. It builds confidence and character and all of that. But the number one goal should be is to get an education. And the reason why is that sports is short term, and education you can take to your grave. That's something you always have there to fall back on. And that advice is something that can carry on forever. I mean, that's just the way it is. You go into college and play sports. When they say student athlete, that's where it should be in that order. Student athlete. If you're fortunate enough to go on to the pros, all well and good. But student first, athlete second.
I got a little saying I always had. In fact, I'm going to use it Sunday. Gene Bennett Day at the ballpark. Is that sports is a great game, a great game, and if you're good at it, like this guy, just hope that you've given to the game as much as the game is given to you.
Right.
That was
Tell
just a joke.
what's going on Sunday at the Red Stadium. You may talk a little bit about that. What's going to happen Sunday at the ball game?
Well, you know, I retired last year, and they were going to have Gene Bennett Day at the ballpark. And at that time, I had back surgery, and I couldn't even get around on that thing. So they were going to have it in September, and then it ended up with making a run for the division championship. And I told Walt, I said, you know, Walt, I don't know, you know, it's great that you want to do that, but if you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. But hey, go and win the division. Don't let something like this take away from us winning the doggone division. And I said, you know, we can do it next spring. And he said, okay, we'll do it next spring. So then we got talking about next spring, and I said, anytime you want to do it. So then on that Portsmouth day, they talked to Warnick or somebody and said, hey, why don't we just do them both? So that's what it's going to work out. So, but no, that other thing, that was just a joke thing. But if I'd have said that, he'd have said fine. Yeah, he'd have said, I mean, just to show you that here's a guy that I believe I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, if he'd have said I want $50,000, I said, see you later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he probably wouldn't have made it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have made it. You saw those guys that played hard.
Oh, yeah.
You get up there and said, what's this guy doing here?
Really?
Not very long, he's a mainstay.
Thank you. That's right.
Yeah. Because it's just like Larkin.
Right.
He said, just make it just whatever the others did, because get me the big leagues as quick as you can, because I know I can make it.
He was a ball player.
And he did.
Yeah, he did.
Sabo, same way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for coming down and talking. I really
No problem.
appreciate it.
I